Emotions are powerful forces that can either guide us toward clarity or sweep us into chaos. The first step in controlling them is understanding what triggers them. Every individual has specific situations, words, or behaviors from others that can spark strong emotional reactions. These triggers are often rooted in past experiences, personal values, or fears we carry, sometimes without even realizing it. By becoming aware of these triggers, we give ourselves the ability to step back and observe our emotional responses rather than being consumed by them. Awareness is not about suppressing emotions, it's about recognizing them for what they are, a signal, not a command. When you notice the first signs of anger, frustration, or anxiety, you create a space between the stimulus and your reaction, and that space is where true control begins. Understanding your triggers also requires honest self-reflection. Ask yourself why certain situations affect you more deeply than others. Is it a fear of failure, a need for approval, or an unresolved issue from the past? By examining these underlying causes, you start to see patterns in your behavior and thought processes. Knowledge of these patterns is incredibly liberating because it transforms your emotional responses from random reactions into predictable, manageable experiences. It allows you to prepare mentally for situations you know will challenge you. Another important aspect is observing how your body reacts to emotions. Physical sensations such as a racing heart, tight shoulders, or shallow breathing often precede conscious awareness of anger or stress. These bodily signals are early warnings that your emotions are rising, and learning to recognize them can give you a crucial moment to pause, breathe, and center yourself. Mindfulness practices, such as meditation or focused breathing exercises, can enhance this awareness, but even simple self-check-ins throughout the day can make a difference. Understanding your emotional triggers also means understanding the context in which they arise. Stressful environments, lack of sleep, or overwhelming responsibilities can amplify your emotional reactions, making small irritations feel much larger than they truly are. By identifying these external factors, you can take proactive steps to minimize their impact, whether through planning, prioritization, or simply giving yourself the grace to step back when necessary. Ultimately, controlling your emotions begins with understanding them. It's about seeing them clearly, recognizing the factors that ignite them, and acknowledging the physical and mental cues they create. The more you understand yourself, the more you empower yourself to act deliberately instead of reacting impulsively. When you know your triggers, you reclaim your power, and with that power comes the ability to stay calm, think clearly, and navigate life's challenges with confidence and composure. It is not an overnight process, but each moment of awareness brings you closer to mastery over your emotions. In life, the difference between success and failure often comes down to how we respond in critical moments. Reacting impulsively to a situation can lead to mistakes, regret, and unnecessary conflict, while responding thoughtfully allows us to maintain clarity and control. The power of pause is a simple yet transformative concept. It is the conscious decision to take a moment before acting or speaking, giving yourself the space to assess the situation, your emotions, and the potential consequences of your actions. When we encounter a challenge, our brain instinctively reacts, often driven by fear, anger, or frustration. These immediate reactions are usually automatic and primal, designed to protect us, but in modern life they can work against us. By pausing, even for just a few seconds, you interrupt this automatic response and create an opportunity for conscious choice. This pause can take many forms: a deep breath, a mental count, or a moment to visualize the outcome you want to achieve. The key is to step out of the reactive state long enough to regain perspective. Responding instead of reacting requires mental discipline, and it begins with self-awareness. You need to recognize the early signs that an emotional reaction is building, whether it's tension in your body, a rush of adrenaline, or racing thoughts. These signals are not obstacles to overcome, they are indicators that you have an opportunity to choose a better path. Once you acknowledge these signs, you can make a deliberate choice about how to act. Responding thoughtfully also involves asking yourself questions that shift your focus from the problem to the solution. Instead of letting anger dictate your words, you can ask, what is the most effective way to handle this? Or, what outcome am I trying to achieve? These questions redirect your mind from emotional reaction to strategic action. Another essential aspect is practicing empathy, both for yourself and for others involved. Recognizing that everyone is operating from their own perspective and experiences can soften your immediate emotional response and allow for more constructive communication. The habit of pausing and responding develops over time through consistent practice. It may feel unnatural at first because our instincts are trained to react quickly, but with repetition, it becomes a powerful tool that enhances every area of life: personal relationships, work, leadership, and problem solving. Leaders, thinkers, and high performers understand that calm, deliberate action always outperforms hasty reactions. They know that in moments of pressure, the ability to pause can between escalation and resolution, failure and success. By mastering the power of pause, you cultivate the capacity to act with intention rather than impulse. You gain clarity when others are overwhelmed, and you maintain control when emotions threaten to dominate. Over time, this practice transforms not only how you respond in critical moments, but also the way you experience life itself. You become less reactive, more thoughtful, and increasingly capable of navigating challenges with composure and insight. Challenges are an inevitable part of life, but the way we perceive them determines whether they break us or make us stronger. The ability to reframe challenges transforms what initially feels like stress, pressure, or adversity into an opportunity for growth, learning, and clarity. Often, when we encounter difficulties, our immediate instinct is to resist, complain, or view them as obstacles. This resistance amplifies our emotional response and clouds our thinking. When we choose to reframe the situation instead, we shift our mindset from one of helplessness to one of empowerment. Reframing begins with perspective. Every challenge contains multiple layers, and the story we tell ourselves about it shapes our emotional experience. By stepping back and asking ourselves, what can I learn from this? Or, how can this make me stronger? We alter the narrative in our minds. This does not mean ignoring the difficulty or pretending it does not exist. It means approaching it with curiosity rather than fear. Stress and pressure are signals, not enemies. They tell us that something in our environment demands attention, action, or adaptation. By viewing stress as a teacher rather than a threat, we can extract insight from it, turning an uncomfortable situation into an opportunity for personal and professional growth. Challenges often reveal hidden strengths we would not otherwise discover. When faced with adversity, we are forced to tap into reserves of creativity, resilience, and patience that remain dormant during ordinary circumstances. By acknowledging this, we start to see that difficulties are not merely disruptions to our plans, but essential parts of the journey that push us toward our full potential. Another powerful aspect of reframing is shifting from a focus on problems to a focus on solutions. Instead of ruminating on what went wrong or dwelling on obstacles, we train our minds to explore possibilities, alternatives, and new approaches. This proactive mindset not only reduces anxiety, but also enhances clarity, allowing us to act decisively even in high-pressure situations. Reframing challenges also involves recognizing the bigger picture. Often, we become so consumed by immediate difficulties that we lose sight of our long-term goals and values. By zooming out and considering how the current challenge fits into our larger journey, we gain perspective that can reduce fear and increase motivation. This long-view approach encourages patience and perseverance, reminding us that temporary struggles rarely define our ultimate outcome. Emotional mastery plays a key role in this process. When we maintain calm in the face of difficulty, we prevent negative emotions from distorting our judgment. Calmness allows us to analyze situations objectively, identify opportunities that others might miss, and make strategic decisions that align with our goals. Practicing mindfulness, reflection, and deliberate thinking enhances our ability to reframe challenges, creating a mental environment where stress becomes manageable and obstacles become stepping stones. Over time, this approach develops a resilient mindset that thrives under pressure. Life will never be free of adversity, but our response to it is entirely within our control. By consciously reframing challenges, we cultivate the ability to stay centered, think clearly, and take purposeful action, even when circumstances are chaotic or uncertain. Each challenge we face becomes an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more adaptable, building a foundation for success that is unshakable. Ultimately, reframing challenges is not just a mental strategy, it is a way of life. It allows us to see every difficulty as a chance to learn, every setback as a lesson, and every stressful situation as a platform for personal evolution. This mindset transforms ordinary struggle into extraordinary growth, equipping us to face life with courage, clarity, and unwavering confidence. Mental resilience is not something we are born with, it is a skill that is developed, strengthened, and refined through deliberate practice and consistent effort. In life, high-pressure moments are inevitable, and how we respond to them often determines the trajectory of our success and fulfillment. Resilience is the ability to remain calm, composed, and focused when circumstances are challenging, unpredictable, or overwhelming. It is the mental muscle that allows us to navigate uncertainty without being consumed by fear or frustration. Building this resilience begins with self-awareness. Understanding how you typically respond under stress is crucial because it reveals patterns in your behavior, thought processes, and emotional reactions. When you recognize that certain triggers or situations cause you to react impulsively or lose clarity, you can begin to develop strategies to counteract these tendencies. Awareness alone is not enough, it must be coupled with practice. One of the most effective ways to strengthen mental resilience is through controlled exposure to challenging situations. This does not mean seeking unnecessary hardship, but rather intentionally stepping outside your comfort zone in small, manageable ways. Each time you face difficulty and maintain composure, you reinforce your ability to handle pressure in the future. Another critical component of resilience is the cultivation of a growth mindset. This is the belief that obstacles are not permanent roadblocks, but opportunities for learning and development. When we approach challenges with curiosity rather than fear, we expand our capacity to adapt, innovate, and find solutions. Mistakes and setbacks are no longer sources of shame or defeat. They become valuable feedback that guides our improvement. Resilient individuals also develop strong coping mechanisms to manage stress and maintain clarity. Techniques such as focused breathing, meditation, visualization, and deliberate reflection can help calm the mind during intense moments. These practices train the brain to regulate emotions, reduce impulsivity, and create mental space for thoughtful decision-making. Physical well-being is equally important, as the mind and body are interconnected. Regular exercise, adequate sleep, and proper nutrition enhance cognitive function, emotional stability, and overall energy levels, making it easier to remain resilient under pressure. Social support plays a vital role as well. Surrounding yourself with people who encourage, challenge, and uplift you provides perspective and reassurance during difficult times. Sharing experiences and seeking guidance from trusted mentors or peers can reduce feelings of isolation and reinforce confidence in your ability to navigate adversity. Mental resilience is also strengthened by a clear sense of purpose and values. When you know what matters most to you and align your actions with these principles, external pressures have less power to destabilize your mindset. Purpose acts as an anchor, keeping you grounded when circumstances threaten to overwhelm you. Over time, these practices create a resilient mindset that is not only capable of enduring stress, but thrives in it. Individuals who cultivate this strength are able to remain calm when others panic, think clearly when others are confused, and act decisively when hesitation might be the default response. They understand that pressure is not the enemy, it is an environment in which their skills, focus, and character can shine. Building mental resilience is a lifelong journey. It requires patience, persistence, and the willingness to face challenges head-on. Each experience of stress, difficulty, or uncertainty becomes an opportunity to reinforce your inner strength, sharpen your clarity of thought, and expand your ability to navigate life with confidence. In the end, resilience is the foundation upon which all other personal and professional successes are built. It allows you to approach life's pressures not with fear or avoidance, but with calm, confidence, and unwavering determination. Consistency and emotional mastery is not a matter of occasional effort or fleeting discipline. It is the result of daily habits, intentional practices, and a steadfast commitment to understanding and guiding your own mind. True control over emotions does not happen in a single moment of insight or during a rare crisis. It is built incrementally through repeated actions that reinforce awareness, calmness, and clarity. Each day presents countless opportunities to practice emotional regulation, from small irritations and minor frustrations to more significant stressors and high-pressure challenges. By approaching each instance deliberately, you strengthen the mental pathways that allow you to remain composed regardless of circumstance. One of the most important aspects of maintaining consistency is cultivating self-awareness. Recognizing the subtle signs that your emotions are rising, an increase in heart rate, tense muscles, racing thoughts, or a tightness in your chest provides the early warning needed to pause and regain control. This self-awareness can be enhanced through practices like mindfulness journaling or regular reflection. By taking time each day to check in with yourself, you create a habit of noticing emotions before they dictate your behavior. Equally critical is the development of emotional detachment without suppression. Emotional mastery is not about ignoring feelings or pretending they do not exist. It is about observing them objectively, understanding their source, and choosing how to respond rather than reacting instinctively. Daily routines that involve deliberate breathing exercises, meditation, or visualization reinforce this skill, allowing you to approach each challenge with a calm and balanced mind. Consistency also requires the practice of deliberate pausing. Life moves quickly, and stress often demands immediate action, yet the most effective responses come from a place of reflection rather than impulse. By creating habitual pauses in your daily life, moments to breathe, evaluate, and decide, you train yourself to respond thoughtfully. Over time, this pause becomes automatic even in high-pressure situations, allowing clarity to replace instinctive reaction. Another essential element is reframing negative or challenging experiences. Each day will inevitably bring setbacks, frustrations, and obstacles, but the consistent choice to see these as opportunities for growth strengthens resilience and emotional control. By reframing situations, you not only reduce stress but also train your mind to find solutions and maintain perspective, turning potential disruption into a constructive experience. Physical wellness underpins emotional consistency. Regular exercise, sufficient sleep, and mindful nutrition influence mood regulation, energy levels, and cognitive clarity. When the body is well maintained, the mind operates with greater stability, reducing the likelihood that temporary stress will escalate into emotional overwhelm. Social habits also play a role. Surrounding yourself with individuals who inspire challenge and support you fosters an environment in which emotional control is easier to practice. Daily interactions become opportunities to exercise patience, empathy, and measured communication, further embedding mastery into everyday life. Setting clear intentions each morning can guide your emotional responses throughout the day. By identifying the attitude and mindset you wish to carry, you prime yourself to handle situations with composure. Reminders, affirmations, or short moments of reflection can reinforce these intentions, ensuring they remain active even when circumstances are demanding. Importantly, consistency in emotional mastery does not mean perfection. Moments of frustration, anger, or fear will inevitably arise, and when they do, the key is not to berate yourself, but to acknowledge the lapse. Learn from it and return to your practice. Each experience, whether successful or challenging, contributes to long-term growth, reinforcing the patterns that create resilience, clarity, and calm. Over months and years, these consistent habits compound, shaping a mind that navigates life's pressures with ease. Decisions become clearer, relationships improve, and the ability to act deliberately under stress becomes second nature. Leaders, thinkers, and high achievers understand that their greatest advantage often comes not from talent alone, but from the daily discipline of mastering their own emotions. This consistency allows them to remain focused when others panic, to think strategically when others react impulsively, and to inspire confidence when uncertainty threatens to destabilize those around them. Emotional mastery becomes an invisible foundation, supporting every action, every decision, and every interaction. Ultimately, the daily commitment to consistent emotional control transforms not only how we respond to external events, but how we experience life itself. We become less reactive, more present, and increasingly capable of navigating challenges with intentionality, confidence, and composure. By embedding habits that cultivate awareness, calmness, and reflection into every day, we ensure that our emotional state is a tool, not a hindrance. Consistency in emotional mastery is the bridge between understanding and action, between impulse and insight, and between chaos and clarity. It is the lifelong practice that allows us to approach every situation with calm confidence, think clearly under pressure, and live a life defined by purpose rather than reaction.